Hello, everybody. Welcome to Social Media and AI Shortcuts. I'm Madeline Sklar. As always, we have so much to discuss here. We come together and do this every week. If you don't know, if you're new here, I've got some super helpful ChatGPT tips that I want to pass along. And later, we're going to finally have that discussion about hashtags because Rachel is here and she's written a great article about it. And it's just a really interesting topic that, we need to be discussing because things have changed. If you're new here, hi, I'm Madeline Sklar. I'm a content creator that helps fellow content creators and marketers and entrepreneurs and all the people that, like you, are trying to get more done in less time when it comes to social media and AI stuff. Although I've been really focusing on AI lately because I just find it so interesting and there's always news about it pretty much every day. My goal is to make it easier for you, for me, for everybody so that we're not so overloaded. That's why I call this social media and AI shortcuts. I've been in digital marketing coming up on 30 years in January. I feel old now. And been teaching social media strategies for the last 20 years. So anyway, let's bring up our panelists for today. And we're going to have, as always, a great discussion. Hello, friends. Rachel, Jim, and Barb. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great. Great to see you.
Good to see y'all.
Good.
I'm really kind of bummed with Facebook at the moment because I'm not live streaming there, but that's okay. It'll all be fine. We're live streaming in multiple places right now, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. So appreciate all that are watching us live, and the replay will be available as well. So isn't it interesting how we're just having more discussions about AI stuff? I love all this AI, even though it's been around several years now.
Yeah, it's changing so much. And I think people are understanding how it can help with just the daily drudgery of a lot of the administrative tasks that we do as business owners.
Yeah, because when we first heard about ChatGPT and things were starting to, happen, it was a lot of, ooh, this is just something that will write for you and don't do that. And then now these several years later, it's like, oh, ChatGPT and AI in general is going to come take your job. And we're starting to see some of that. I mean, but now I'm seeing headlines of like, it's coming after white collar jobs. I don't know. It's just, I think we're in a place right now in 2025 that if you don't understand AI, you're going to miss out. Like, just learn as much as you can. Don't y'all agree? Like, now's the time if people haven't yet.
Oh, definitely. And I think, like, even for me, I'm not using it today, but like playing around with Atlas and just
Me too.
seeing how powerful it is. I mean, I think we all know Dennis Yu. Well, Dennis showed an example of where he took Atlas, had it like read his YouTube channel and say, hey, how can I improve the titles and description of my stuff? And it did it for him. And so, I look at it this way, some people are like, oh, well, is it really cheating or is it just being smart? Because sure, you could do it on your own, but then it's kind of like you're banging your head against the wall, like, gosh, what am I missing? And that's where I like it as, if you want to call it your assistant, that's not costing you,
100%.
all this money. And so even like, I think you may have seen, I posted on Substack on the Dealcasters page about how I used it with Venable to improve my page titles or my descriptions of my list. And one of them, right, I'm seeing more traffic on it. And part of it is like, because I specifically said, I want to make sure it gets found by ChatGPT and Perplexity. And, there was another article that I saw on Substack, and I think, Rachel, you maybe saw that. I think it was Christina God talked about how that even if you wrote something that was evergreen, change the title to say in 2025 or in.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. And so I think, because we want to still get found, and sure, they're using Google in some aspects as their search engine, but if you're providing what seems more relevant, I think that helps. And I think that's where the AI is very helpful instead of me having to hire a VA or something like that. I mean, that's just my perspective, and I think it speeds up our processes.
It does for me. It's exactly how I view it as well, Jim, identical to what you just said. I feel like it's this invisible assistant next to me that I didn't have to hire that is helping me brainstorm, giving me ideas, looking at things from another point of view. And I find that really invaluable. I'm not just giving it a prompt, say, hey, write all this for me and let me copy and paste the whole thing over. And I think that was the big misconception in the beginning, right? People were like, oh, you give it a prompt, you copy and paste, it's doing all the work for you. But and I know people do that, but I think most of us don't. We just use it as that helper.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought, Rachel?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just putting together things for just one example. I will read a client's book on Kindle first, all the way through, and then I will highlight the sections that I think will be good for marketing, for visual quote cards, or for actual videos like reels and things. And so I'm able to take a PDF or a Word doc and say, pull out 15 or 50, however many I want to do, short quotes that work without context in a social media, because you have to add, if there's no context on the beginning or end and you just have this quote, it just sort of sits there. So you have to be very specific about the quotes that you share, give it some thought or it won't have any meaning, and it'll do it in seconds. And I do have assistants that I pay to help me, and I have a graphic designer. I have a small team, but even they can't keep up with all that kind of stuff when it can do it in literally seconds. So I don't see a problem using it for things like that. I just have to make sure it's not hallucinating and that all of those quotes are actually there. So of course I go through each one, make sure it's there, have the client check it, blah, blah, blah. But it's not 100%. I don't think you can literally just have it spit out stuff to you and copy and paste it over without, any adjustment. I like that you can be specific, and I've learned this from you, Madeline, about tone, about giving it very specific prompts, and then it learns.
Yes.
So now I'll say, give me a resource, and I don't have to write, make sure it works and you haven't made it up. So it'll come back to me and say, I've pulled 3 resources, no 404s. I've checked to make sure the links actually work. So I'm training it to do what I need it to do. So I think things like that are super easy and helpful, and seconds. I mean, I still can't get my mind around how quickly it works.
Same. I know, I'm blown away every time I do that. And I'm like, oh my God, that was so fast.
Yeah.
Because when you're say like small business owner, like we are, and you follow like what you just said, you get that Word doc and you highlight those things and then you give it to the assistant, and it's going to take time for them to do it. And it's costing you money. And not to say that's always a great thing, because we don't want to take away. We want people to have jobs and stuff.
Of course.
But we're also embracing technology. And I'm like, this, for me personally, it's like, this is less work. Like, here's how I look at it. Because I can do things like that in my business, that means I can focus more attention on really important things.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
It is. So to not utilize this, I think, is harming people. But it depends on how you want to use it. If you have the ethics that you don't want it speaking for you, then be very specific about that and just say, hey, I'm just here to bounce some ideas around, find some resources, and like you do, like you have discussions with it.
I do. Yeah. I just talk to it like a person.
Yeah.
And it learns about me through all of that.
Yes.
And I've been doing it ever since that audio feature came out. I remember I live streamed it here and talked all about it. I'm like, I'm doing this big experiment. So that's been about a year. I think it was last October or November, I'm pretty sure, last year. And it knows me so well, just from all those interactions. And I'm not, because in the beginning, I'm like, everybody talked about, you got to be a prompt architect and it's all about the prompt. And it kind of was in the beginning, but not so much now. Like, if you just talk to it like a person and interact, you can still get the results you want. But going back to something you said, Rachel, about the hallucination, and sometimes it just gets stuff inaccurate or wrong. One of the things somebody said recently is ask it to always list as sources. And I thought that's interesting.
I did. And here's an example just from today. A client sent me a very long blurb. And for a quote card or a banner, you need like 4 or 5 words, it's like really punchy, like a tagline basically. And so I said, but I told her, I said, is it okay with you if I put it in chat and see what it comes up with? And she's like, oh, sure, no problem. She's like, we don't have to be precious about it. And it came up with 4 options. One of the 4 did not exist in the blurb. So I was like, okay, you got to stop making shit up. Oops, sorry,
Yeah.
making things up.
It's okay. You can say the S word.
Okay. And so it's like, oh, you got me, Rachel. Okay, let's redo this one. But if you're not paying attention, you could be putting stuff like AI slop out there without realizing it.
Absolutely. I think like there's been times where it would say something kind of odd to me, and I say,
Yeah.
tell me what your source was for this.
Perfect.
So I mean, but the thing I heard about recently was always ask it to list the source. I mean, I don't know if that, I guess it depends on what you're doing. But yeah, I love conversations like this because we're all kind of learning and getting ideas from each other. Barb, what are your thoughts on the whole AI thing these days?
Well, speaking as a senior, I'll say this. Just this week, I was faced with a real challenge in my ballooning community. I'm into hot air and gas ballooning, and I have 3 generations of members in a 6,000 member group on Facebook. And of course, we will talk about Meta and Facebook later, but we're all having a real tough time having our stuff seen on that platform in particular. But one of the things that happened, of course, was on the launch of AI, I would put a few things in from ChatGPT, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to see if it can create hot air balloons. And boy, they just threw a fit on that, because they knew I was an artist besides, and it's like, oh, that's all fake. And so this last week, we were missing a piece of ballooning history, modern ballooning history. And I was up in the middle of the night and I thought, I've not heard of any balloon pilots from Hawaii. And the reason I was thinking about that in the middle of the night is my husband and I were watching Hawaii 5-0 as, the series. And they mentioned about one of the people they were researching, he's off on a hot air balloon ride on the Big Island, and I'm like, huh? That's not true. And so I just put a post in my ballooning group on Facebook. And when I got up in the morning, there was over 1,000 reactions to that post.
Wow.
I looked again and this can't be real. So what I did, and it was a text post, no less. And so I thought, uh-oh, I am not prepared for this because I know nothing. And I'm going to pull up ChatGPT and put it beside me. And I'm going to tell them I'm talking to ChatGPT at the same time they're putting, and their comments were coming in right and left. No kidding. And so what we learned, everybody learned something. And I summarized my text post and put it in another post in which I created the official hot air balloon pin for this particular balloon. The whole story, in ballooning, they have to have licenses that are registered with the countries. They're called N numbers, and they had to have the appropriate N number, right? So, I mean, that's heavy research. And I'm telling you, we had the first time the balloon was sold, who made it famous, what it was doing on the island, where all of that. And nobody had all that information before. And there was one guy who was adding comments all the time. Oh, that AI slop. Oh, that AI slop. Over and over and over again. And he's actually a friend of mine. And he knows my real talents. And then his next statement was, all of this, tell me, is Barb really real?
Oh my gosh.
So very exciting, very exciting adventure. But the thing was, here we were on the major platform where we're all trying to get viewability, and you never know. And I wouldn't have had it if I didn't have ChatGPT to assist me, because then they were they were all, we're going to tell it what to do, kind of thing. And, garbage in, garbage out. So you just have to train it. And
Yeah.
I kept saying, well, is it right or wrong? And people actually took their phones and took copies of records they had in their homes to add to the post. It was the most mind-blowing post I think I've had on the platform, because all I did was, it was a one sentence on there, and I said, have there ever been any balloon pilots in Hawaii? So I was expecting to really get hit hard on that. But
Yeah.
I believe it's here to stay. And I believe no matter what age you are, that if you don't learn about it so that you're at least aware of capabilities and possibilities for going forward, you're really at a great loss.
I agree. Love your insights, Barb. Thank you for sharing. Bez, real quick, what's your thought with AI today?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear
Okay.
you.
I'm trying to find a tab where I can see myself. I found it. My thought with AI is I'm excited. I'm playing around with it. I hate to code. And then the other day I started, I was like, I teach a career coaching program, and there's a task that I ask people to do that's a manual task, and it's not something most people enjoy, but you have to do it, right? And so I started talking with, I think I was using Claude for this one, and I was like, hey, here's my problem, and I started conversing, sort of like what you do, and I said, what are some possible solutions, and I gave it the context, and so a little bit back and forth, it came with four ideas for me, for solutions. And then they said, we recommend you develop a standalone web app. And I was like, okay. And then it said, would you like for me to show you a demo? Because I explained one little problem, which is basically like a clicker, because people come in and say, hey, we got to track KPIs, but people end up guesstimating. So this was like, so you don't guesstimate, right? And it was really interesting. It gave me, I say, well, yeah, sure, give me a demo, like without me doing anything. It coded it, and I hit a button, and it gave me a demo. I was like, oh, this is not bad, right? And it was just a demo. I hadn't, but just going back and forth and conversing it. And remember, in high school, I took basic programming. I hated it. We were programming on a TRS-80, from War Games. I don't know if you remember those. And that's taking us back to the 80s.
Yes.
Anyways, and I hate I knew coding wasn't going to be a thing, but you know what? I think I vibe coded, and not bad,
Bez Vibe Code Adventures. That's
Vibe.
awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm enjoying it.
Wow. Well, the
Gotta play with
technology
it.
is amazing, especially how it can code things for you now. It's
Mhm.
so interesting. And then you got those sites like there's Lovable, and what's the name of that other one where you just prompt it and it can create anything. It'll just code everything for you. I've seen demos of it, and it is mind-blowing.
Google has one. I think it's Opal, or I haven't used it.
I'm not familiar with that one. I've heard of Lovable. I've seen some demos, but there's that other one. I'm blanking on the name, and that's real popular for that. It's fascinating. But the thing is, if you just don't at least be knowledgeable of these things, it's just all this technology is going to pass you by. And I think people are slowly starting to understand that and showing more interest in learning more. I love this conversation. I love just having these, just like, let's share insights and stuff. I before I play some videos and go over like some different ChatGPT and just general AI tips. I mean, it can be fill in the blank, Claude, or any of the others. Just a reminder, we have our social media and AI shortcuts community over on the SKOOL platform. For those watching this right now, if you have not joined us, all you got to do is go to skool.com/Madeline Sklar. That's where we're able to keep the discussions going, because we come here once a week, live stream for an hour, but then this is where we continue, 7 days a week. So be sure to join us over there. We're always having great discussions, and I really appreciate how y'all contribute to the chats. I learn a lot from everybody, and I just really love that. And Jim, I know you recently started your own school. Has
Yes.
anybody else here started one yet, or not yet?
I did.
What's that?
I
I
set
did
one
too.
up too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Nice.
I signed up for the $9 a month one, but
Yeah.
I want to take my book marketing chat from X that I stopped doing because
Uh-huh.
of all those issues and bring it over to either SKOOL or Substack. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but
Gotcha. Well, I just love that they have the $9 a month tier, because when it was only $99 a month and that was your only option, even when I first started using SKOOL, I mean, I was looking at them all. I was already in somebody's school and I really like it, but they were all pretty much in that $100 a month range, which is, to me, it's like, okay, you got to be all in on this community you want to start, because that's going to be hefty, and communities just don't grow overnight. It takes time. I know Circle had like a lower, I think like maybe like a $45 a month that was less features or something. But I had been in other people's circles and I didn't care for Circle. I knew SKOOL was the right one for me. But now that they have the option of $99 a month or $9 a month for a community owner, I mean, that $9 a month, at least it's like not this huge barrier to entry. So,
Can I ask a question around that?
absolutely, of course.
So I joined the Alex Hermosi, and I did the and I bought his book, so I got it for free for 3 months. So I'm testing the $99 one. But I'm thinking when I'm done, because I only open it up for people in my paid cohort, so it's not that many people. So I'm testing it, and they just did the tiers, and
Yeah.
so it's still not 100% like I want it, but I'm thinking of maybe opening it up, a little bit more, and going down to the $9 one. Do they let the subscription tiers at that level, at the $9 one?
Oh yeah. Here's the thing: between the $9 a month and the $99 a month, as the community owner, you basically get all the features, except there's just a few things you don't get when you're doing the $9 a month. Number one, you can't have any admins. When you're on the $99 a month plan, you can have, I think, 2 admins, or you can have multiple admins. You can't
Yeah.
do that, which I don't think is that big of a deal unless you're a huge community. The other thing is, if you are charging a fee, whether it's a membership for people to join or you're going to have paid classes, anything where you're monetizing it, on the $99 a month plan is just a typical processing card fee of 2.9%. They use Stripe, and SKOOL does not keep any of it. They just literally do the Stripe for you, and 2.9% on every transaction. Whereas the $99 a month plan, they take a flat 10%.
Okay.
And it's a lot like how Patreon does theirs. They're just keeping a flat. So it's like, well, are you going to be trying to monetize this from the start? But then again, even at the start, 2.9% versus 10% is not huge. You can switch from one to the other. You could start the $9 a month plan, and then if you're growing it and monetizing it, you could then go up to the 99. And another big thing between the two is you can't have a custom URL. So I
Right.
have, skool.com/Madeline Sklar. If, believe me, I've debated, because I haven't really monetized this one, but now that they have subscription tiers, I will. But it's like, do I really need skool.com/Madeline Sklar? Because I could just do the $9 a month plan, but you lose the URL. It'll just go back to your original defaulted with, and it's not custom. So I just kind of decided I don't want to do that. So I have 2 different schools doing the $99 a month. But those are like the main things. There's just those few. You get everything else. Oh, and also the other thing you don't get on the $9 a month plan, for the live stream feature, there's 2 ways you can live stream. One is typical Zoom, where everybody's, you're leading it, but all the little boxes like this. You still have a lot of flexibility as an admin, but they just added the webinar feature. So if you want to do it like a webinar where you're hosting something and people are there to watch, but they're not on screen, but you can bring people on screen, but it's not everybody on screen. They're only having that feature for the $99 a month plan, which is interesting because they normally just let you have basically just about everything, but they decided to to not have that in the $9 a month plan. So it just depends on what all the features you want.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, gives me I can always downgrade then upgrade because
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if anybody's thinking about joining, go check out my link here, tinyurl.com/Madeline School. And, for just $9 a month, it's a pretty sweet deal. I think School is just the best platform. Sorry, Barb, go ahead.
I think the $9 approach for anyone is the best way to start, because
Yes.
I really firmly believe, after all the research I've done in this quarter, is that if you don't have at least 100 members and at least 10 of them active in that community every day, it is very hard to scale. And as far as competing and actually earning bigger bucks on the school community itself, it's an issue. And now, due to the session we had this week, I mean, they mentioned in the schoolers that the schoolers group is what we all belong to when we pay. And believe me, the $9 for the education that you have been able to get in that group is, you can apply that to Facebook or any other groups. If you're on the one that Circle, you can do the same philosophies there. But they announced, because of the freemium thing, that they're going to be doing a lot of the stuff that we have for free now. They're going to have tier plans, because they need to have an example of using the tier plans. And so that part was the only thing I said, oh my gosh, no, because that education, I think we need to have available to all of us. And I think, it's definitely the way to go. But I think that starting at the $9 plan and having, I don't care if you're at the pro plan and the versus the hobby plan, on your online real estate, you need to have a domain, and you can have referrers from your domain to that destination, which you could later change. If you didn't like SKOOL anymore, or you liked Circle more, you can change it to that refer from your domain to that destination. So you're always in control. But short of that, it's
Right.
definitely the best way to go.
I totally agree. All right, let's get into some ChatGPT stuff I've come across I want to share with you all. But thanks for sharing that, Barb. I've been really enjoying Atlas, like Jim was saying earlier. That ChatGPT Atlas is pretty darn cool. I've been spending a lot more time on it, and I came across a helpful video. A lady talks about 3 ways to utilize ChatGPT Atlas, turning browsing into outcomes. So let me play this for y'all. It's an interesting video.
Between your bookmarks and your browser history, you've basically built a digital junk drawer. Atlas is the assistant that finally organizes it. Here's the thing, most people save a site and forget it exists 12 seconds later. But with Atlas, ChatGPT actually pulls out the key insights and main takeaways for you. So it's kind of like taking that graveyard of bookmarks and turning it into actionable knowledge. Here's 3 ways to use Atlas that turn your browsing into outcomes. Number 1, ask Atlas to analyze your saved sites for recurring design elements, phrasing, or frameworks. Like you can say, based on my bookmarks, what patterns or design elements am I repeatedly drawn to? And based on that, what's missing from my website? This is perfect for those times where you're tweaking your website, portfolio, or just spiraling an indecision in your Notion. Number 2, make ChatGPT use your history like a research assistant. You can ask, what have I been researching this week, and what should I look into next? Atlas recaps your process, your progress, and turns your browsing patterns into action items. And number 3, connect your browser memory with your saved content. Like you can ask Atlas to combine everything you've read about a certain topic in the past month with your saved notes and tell me what strategy is emerging. So you get high-level strategy based on your own behavior, not generic advice. Atlas turns your bookmarks and browsing history into a living knowledge base. It finds the trends, the overlaps, and the ideas your past self already started, and it generates insights from everything everything you saved so you can spot the connections across sources. Basically, it makes sure that your past self's research actually pays off. If your bookmarks bar looks like a thrift store, make sure you save this for later. And comment below if you want more smart prompts that turn your browser into a system instead of a scrapbook.
Oof, that was helpful. I really saw that and I gotta go spend more time in Atlas and play around with it. Jim, I know you've been playing with it. It's pretty powerful. I'm pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, and like I said, I've used it with some live streaming, and I actually thought it was funny because I posted the little short demo I did of where, like even today, if I wanted to say, hey, let us know what everyone's framing looks like, and they're like, well, why would you want to use that? And it's like, well, I'm still curious, and I don't know the answer yet, that I feel like even though you could say Atlas and Commodore will call Chromium browsers, which is similar to Google, I don't know that it has as much, we'll call it garbage on the back end, which if I'm streaming, I want as minimal, stuff going on in the background because I don't want it to, affect my stream. So I just thought it was funny to be like, well, why would you switch from Chrome? And it's like, well,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just telling you I could see there's definitely some benefits to being able to use it. I mean, even right, if you think about it, when you're setting it up, you could probably even say, is the title and description of this upcoming live stream, can you make it better without having to leave StreamYard?
Oh, that's interesting.
What
Yeah.
about Perplexity? Because I don't have a Mac. Can you?
It's not as good. I've done a side-by-side comparison asking the same thing, and it's a little more general right now, is what I've seen with the Assistant and Comet. Because I basically did kind of a side-by-side with Benable, and what I got from Atlas was much more powerful than what I got from Comet, and using the same exact prompt, same exact data. And so, yes, you can use it. It's better, I guess, than using nothing, but, it is coming to the PC. It's, that,
Yeah.
so I don't know how long it'll be, but,
Hopefully soon so more people can
yeah.
utilize it. I still have Chrome as my default browser. I haven't made Atlas default yet, but I loved how when I set it up on my Mac, you have the option to have it transfer all your bookmarks. So you're in Atlas, it's like it has bookmarks, but it also has like my bookmark bar, everything as is. And I love how you can just be browsing something and then have the chat just start asking it things and have it do things for you. And the beauty is when you're doing that in Atlas, I can go back over to Chrome and go to my ChatGPT and it's all there. Like it's a chat with whatever I did in Atlas. And I love that because I'm still going back and forth. I'm not 100% sure I want to use Atlas all the time. But I want to share like a real use case that I did yesterday. Part of my other community with kratom, which is a plant. So one of the things I run into quite regularly is I'll be on a website and it's great stuff. And most times I have to copy and paste all that text and put it into ChatGPT because I'll give it the URL. And most times, I mean, do y'all run into that too, where most times it'll just tell you it can't access it from the URL? And so you got to resort to copying and pasting. I know with Magi, you can do URLs, but it didn't always work with me, but it seems to do it more when you're using Magi. Anyway, so I came across a very sciencey paper. And I'm like, I don't even understand this. I just need ChatGPT to help me understand this. So instead of the typical, I was about to copy and, Control C and copy the whole thing and put it in Chat. And I thought, wait a minute, let me open Atlas and open that URL. And so that's why I say here, I said, I did the URL and I said, can you explain this in easy to understand terminology? And it's like, sure. What would you like me to explain? It looks like you're referring. It's like talking about like what the article. I said, yes, summarize the whole thing. And it did. Here's a plain English summary of the full study. And it just did all this. I'm like, oh, this is so much easier. And then I said, I'd like to make a video talking about this. Can you write me a script using my voice and a great hook and information to educate people? So it wrote up a whole script for me. It even timed out the estimates of like how long it would be. And I said it needs a better hook because I didn't like the hook it had. So now it's kind of redid it. And then I was like, well, shouldn't the hook kind of start off this way? Like, so now it gave me some more options for the hook. And then it gave me like, wow, this would be a really good videos that I could create. And it was so easy to do by just literally being in Atlas, having the URL in Atlas, browsing that way, and it can just grab everything on the page. So I was like, this is really cool. That I really feel like I'm going to be leaning more to making it my default browser. Is anybody else using Atlas at all? Or is it just me and Jim? None of y'all are using it. Okay. That's okay.
No, but you know what happened while you were doing that, and you said about it couldn't get on your website, couldn't read that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I have in another tab, I have a website that is password protected, you know, on my server, right? And I had that open. I was logged in, and I have the Bing Copilot on the Edge browser. And guess what? I asked it to give me a summary of that page, and it gave me the detail on that page.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's scary.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to get in there. I mean, you'd have to, if you went to that, you'd be, you know, barred from it. But to think that if I'm in there, it can get, you know, work right on that page in a password protected environment.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Interesting. Larry, good to see you here in the comments. Always love seeing you here. Let me get to some of these other things real quickly because I definitely want to have time to talk about hashtags. I want to show something interesting I came across. I'm only going to play part of this, but it's another use case I want to show y'all. So have there been times where you're watching a video, it could be anywhere, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, and some of these like AI experts will be talking about some really cool prompt and they'll show it on the screen, but it's tiny, tiny print. It's like, I can't copy and paste this. So I'll take a screenshot and I can just put in the ChatGPT and have it read it for me and then work on it from there. And so I want to show this really interesting because I don't know if everybody knows how easy it is to do this. So let me show you. I'm going to skip to the part where the lady mentions this really huge prompt and it's so tiny on her screen, even I can't read it from my screenshot, but ChatGPT could. And I'm sure fill in the blank with any other AI. So watch this little snippet.
I'm going to give you an AI prompt, $1 million AI prompt that you can use in ChatGPT or whatever your favorite AI platform is, that is going to be personalized for you on how you specifically can make money with AI with zero startup costs, and it costs you nothing to do. Here's the prompt. I want to build $1 million business in the next 6 months using AI with zero.
Look how tiny that print is. But I was listening to her going, that sounds like a really good prompt. So I thought, let me screenshot it. And of course, I can't read it from the screenshot because it's just so small. But I put it in the ChatGPT and I asked it, like, you know, can you read this for me? And then let's try this out. Let's, you know, so it was like so incredibly easy. Let me show you how I did this on ChatGPT. And it's just in hopes that somebody that is watching this that doesn't know how all this works, hopefully you'll walk away today with just a little bit more knowledge or at least things to try. So there's a screenshot. I mean, I was just watching this video casually. I think I was kicking back in the recliner one night and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Let me screenshot it. And I'm like, oh, I really should put this in the ChatGPT and you know, learn more about this prompt. So I put that in and I said, can you read the text she has on the screen as a prompt? Let me know. And it came back. It's like, yeah, here's, yeah, hello, of course I can. And it just wrote out the whole entire thing that she's saying out loud. I'm like, okay, this is good. And then I said, knowing everything you know about me, what would you suggest? Because it's basically a prompt saying, I want to build $1 million business in the next 6 months using AI with zero startup costs. Personalize this plan for me. Describe your background, example, digital marketer, content creator with experience in online courses, brain strategy, and automation. I want the business to, and she has all these bullet points, leverage AI tools to maximize automation, scalability, like just stuff like that, right? Give me 3 specific business models that fit my background and goals, a step-by-step 6-month roadmap for the best idea, the AI tools, automations, and outsourcing workflows to make it happen. I'm like, this this is gold, right? So I just want ChatGPT, it knows so much about me. And so it said, perfect question based on everything I know about you, your background in digital marketing, community building, AI education, live streaming, and creative advocacy. Here's how I tailor a $1 million AI business in 6 months. Plan realistically to your world. Let's cut the hype and focus on what could actually scale fast with low overhead. And it gave me like all these really interesting ideas. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I said, the hardest part is that I'm passionate about all these things. I probably would do best if I just picked one and stuck with it. Wouldn't you agree? It's like, yes, I 100% agree. But I just love that I found this interesting video. She's mentioning a prompt that's super interesting. And I had an easy way to get it in ChatGPT and continue that discussion and have it kind of personalized to me. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that? How easy it can be to do all this stuff.
Well,
yeah, oh, go ahead, Bez.
No, go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, thank you. I just put that in as we were sitting here, and it's already given me a plan.
I love it.
I probably would have to go back and be more specific, but just based on what you were saying, I was like, create a plan for me to achieve this much this year based on what you know about me and all my writings. And it's gave me that plan, and it took 10 seconds. I haven't had time to look through it because I'm on the live stream, but I will.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really interesting prompt that can really kind of get you thinking of things you didn't think of before and using your favorite AI tool to help you get there. But it started with, and I see a lot of videos like that lady's video where they put up this really great prompt. They're saying it out loud, and then they got the super tiny, and that's like, you're either going to have AI transcribe it, or you jot it down as much as you can, or screenshot it. And I'm like, I'm just going to try screenshotting it and seeing if that's enough for ChatGPT to help me. What I have done in the past before is another workaround, because I will always find a workaround. So one time, I think it might have been that same lady, because the print is so small and I didn't think to screenshot it. So what I did is I think I was at my computer, and I think what I did is I played it. I had ChatGPT on in the audio part, of course. And I said, hey, Chat, listen to this and write it out for me. And I had her listen. I had her listen to it and transcribed it that way. So that was just another way to do it. I mean, I think there's a variety of ways to like get that without having to wait a minute, go back and transcribe it yourself. So for me, it's like a time saver of how I can utilize ChatGPT to transcribe it for me, give that to me, and now this is a great prompt. Let me work with this and see what ideas I get out of it. So I thought that was really cool. Who else wants? Yeah, Betsy.
Yeah. I bet that video is on YouTube as a short, and you can actually on YouTube, there's a button, with all the thumbs up, thumbs down, share, and download. There's a button called Ask. And when you're on a video on YouTube and you hit the Ask button, a bot will show up and it'll say a few things. They'll say, hey, what do you want to do? Summarize the video. And then there'll be some other prompts. So you might be able to, they give you what you're looking for straight out. I mean, that's another way, with, and if you don't have the, this ChatGPT browser, whatever you call it.
Right.
Have you ever used that? They Ask within YouTube?
That's like built in. I haven't. It's new. I haven't yet. I've seen it, but I haven't used it yet.
So yeah, it'll give you summaries, and you can actually ask it a question. But of the YouTube video, so you don't have to like watch the whole YouTube. You can it'll summarize it for you, or there's a few prompts they'll give you, but then you can also ask it things. So yeah, there's something to think about.
That's cool.
Yes, you're talking about the built-in or a add-on application?
No, it's built in. It's
right. That was this week that they have they've got some brand new stuff that they just launched
Yeah.
yesterday, I think.
I've had the ask feature for a little while.
Yeah,
But I'm also premium on YouTube. So I don't know if premium got it first.
maybe. I used to be
Yeah, I
premium,
do
but
too.
yeah. Mhm.
I do, but I also use that GLASP. I guess it was, I got that to go in with
Glass.io. Yeah, I've used that
Glass.
before.
I've used that, and it's changed too, where it's even become more powerful. So
Yeah.
on there, we can't live without AI.
That's right. We're in the AI age. Let me play one more video. This one's super short. Another great use of with your favorite AI. So watch this one. Oops, I guess it helped. I got that. TikTok thing.
ChatGPT Secrets You Should Know, Part 20. Did you know if you go to chatgpt.com, you download or upload a picture of your chicken scratch handwriting, and you upload that image, you can prompt it by saying, please transcribe this page and turn it into an action plan, and it'll take all of your handwritten notes, transcribe it, and turn it into a step-by-step action plan for you. So follow me if you want to master ChatGPT.
Isn't that cool? I just wanted to share that because it's just so in line with what we were just talking about. So, I mean, it's just sometimes it's just these little things we don't always think about. And I don't ever really think about like taking a screenshot of my handwritten notes. And I thought that was such a great idea. So those are our tips for today. I know we're running out of time. Let's transition over to hashtags. Because I know, Rachel, there's been like, all this stuff with hashtags we wanted you to come share with us. And you even wrote an article about it. So let me cue all this up. So all of this started because of an article you saw talking about this. I remember you sent me the link. Do you want me to start there first? And
Sure.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, because I don't have that handy.
I've got it. I've been like patiently holding on to all this until you're here to chat with us. So this was an article from the published press and talking about, it was an article about hashtags. Should you stop using hashtags? And I mean, because of this, that prompted you to have discussions on social media and to write an article about it.
Well, and I also saw Mari, if you're not in Mari Smith's group on Facebook, she's the queen of Facebook, right? For those of you unfamiliar, and she's very generous with a lot of the stuff that she shares. And there's updates literally every day of what Meta's doing. So she's on top of that. And she put in there that she was glad to see that hashtags are changing because she would prefer to use the keywords in the storytelling. Yes, the #sign, correct, Larry. So hashtags became a way, especially for us who have exited from Twitter, I'm still there, to connect. So for you, Madeline, you did Twitter Smarter. So you did a chat every week at the same time. We're talking old tech, right? So you had to type in the hashtag to follow along with the chat. Then we switched to audio spaces and you could still use the hashtags for that. Hashtags still hyperlink on X, but Musk has stated that they're not aesthetically pleasing and he doesn't like them. And so he did an announcement a few months ago that said that if you have a hashtag in your post, it will prevent you from promoting it or advertising. And I hit that. I didn't understand. I hadn't caught up to it. And I was not given the option to promote my posts and the only posts that I really promote are Substack posts because I have a sponsor. So anyway, all this came together and I thought, well, are we supposed to use them or not? What the heck is going on, right? So I went into a deep dive and looked at most of the major platforms. Instagram and TikTok were always very hashtag heavy. You can still use hashtags on those platforms, but they're not being used as a search tool the way they used to be. And that's what the difference is. And so you want to make sure that where you would hashtag, for example, book marketing chat, which was my hashtag, I would actually say the words book marketing chat. And supposedly now it will still get picked up by the AI bots that are scraping for Google and for AI search, but also within each platform itself. So here's another example. YouTube, you can use your hashtags and they'll actually show up right above the title. That's how they use them. Facebook never really got super into hashtags, but you can still use them and they will be clickable. Substack never jumped on the bandwagon. So you can kind of see when people have come over to Substack and are using hashtags and it's like, dude, it doesn't work. But I'm not against them. I think that they're still really useful for purposes of a shorthand. So if you're putting up a tweet, you've got 280 characters and you want to say, you know, like book promo or whatever, I think it's still helpful as a shorthand way to identify what you're talking about. But you have to see where hashtags are still being used. Instagram, I think you shared that video with us, Madeline, from Adam Massari, saying they're not necessary. I mean, if you want to use them, you can. But if you put in a hashtag on Instagram that says, you know, AI search is going to come up, but not the hashtags that people are using. So it's no longer needed from a search perspective, but I personally like it as a shorthand. So my son says, he's 20, if you use hashtags, it's a sign that you're a boomer.
Oh man, I love this. You know, hashtags really defined social media years ago, and it was like what made Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so funny how hashtags on Twitter became a thing from somebody who didn't work at Twitter. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the guy that started it, and it became a real revolution because back in the early Twitter days, you couldn't do a search.
Right.
And when this guy figured out doing the hashtag, just doing the pound sign in a word, it's like, oh my gosh, you could search things that way. And it just became such a big part of using Twitter. I'd been on Twitter since 2008. I think it started 2007. So I came on like a year after when it got that big buzz at South by Southwest in like March 2008. And the whole hashtag thing just really made it cool and so much better for community and connecting with like-minded people. And of course, I'm like, I got to do Twitter chats. And my first Twitter chat was back when they weren't that popular yet. My first one was in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a great way to bring people together on social, because like with social media, none of the platforms really had a way to bring community together. Facebook groups, you know, finally, but I don't remember what year Facebook groups started, but once that happened, that really changed the way of being able to build community on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But with Twitter, it was and you know, because you've been doing Twitter chats a long time, what an interesting way to bring people together. And I pretty much know most of y'all here from my Twitter Smarter Chat that I started in 2015 that I did every Thursday, still same time slot, every Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern. I mean, we're still here. It's just not the old school Twitter chat that I did for many, many years. But what an interesting thing how it's evolved. And we shouldn't be surprised.
No,
it happens.
No, and here's the difficulty. So I've been doing I started Monday blogs years and years ago. Many of you may participate. If you have a post to share, a video you want to share on X, well, it was started on Twitter. You would just use the Monday blogs hashtag. It's not to promote your services or your books. Obviously, it's Monday and blogs. I still do it every Monday. Anybody is open to participate. I still spend that time there on X. I also now moved it over to Blue Sky because Blue Sky now recognizes hashtags. The problem is if I just put in Monday space blogs, not hashtag Monday blogs, I get anything that says Monday. I get anything that says blogs. It's a mess. So I disagree about the fact that they're not needed anymore because they are, unless they somehow update that.
Interesting. The thing that I know with hashtags when it comes to X, you know, Elon was very vocal about how he does not like hashtags and he thinks hashtags are dead. And
they're not aesthetically pleasing. That's what he said.
And when he made that announcement, when was that, like a year and a half ago? It's been a while. Yeah. So when he made that announcement, he had the engineers change the algorithm that if you use more than one hashtag, you're not going to get the reach. They're going to make it so that you do not get the reach on your post, which is I was like, man, that's crazy to me. So,
Yep.
because so many of us were so used to hashtags and not just one, but multiple. So ever since I've been telling people, when I see people using multiple hashtags, I said, if you're going to use it, just use one. And it was hard for me to stop because that was part of me branding Twitter smarter, and other things that I did in business was revolving around branding hashtags. That was like a big thing for me. And it was so hard for me to stop doing that.
Yeah.
I went down to one when Elon made that announcement, but it's like, but hashtags are so cool.
I know.
So we got to roll with the changes. We just have to.
It is. So I think I get a lot of people saying, oh, thank God I don't have to use hashtags anymore. I don't know that you ever had to use them. They were it was
a tool,
a search tool, right?
Yeah.
But I still agree that they have their place. Just make sure where you're putting them, they actually do hyperlink. Like, again, Substack, they don't work. I don't know that they ever will. Excuse me.
And here's your article that I'll have the link to this in my on my YouTube channel later, links to everything we watched here. But yeah, so you wrote a whole article about this on Substack.
I did. And I went through specifically each platform about ways to use it and why the change. I do want to say really quickly, the fun fact that I put in there, you have to go back up.
Okay.
To the top. My very first book was called A Walk in the Snark, and it was just a funny look at I was married still at the time, not anymore. And I used hashtags in my subtitles because I pulled a lot of the questions that I got from social media. So I used hashtags, and Amazon came back to me and said, these are all typos. And I'm like, no. Hashtags are now part of the culture.
Right.
And they're not a typo. And Susan Orlean had written in the New Yorker how she had just become enamored with hashtags on Twitter. And I had to send that article to Amazon and say, look, they exist. It's a thing. And they were like, oh, okay. So yeah, that was about 2011, 2012, probably.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, y'all follow Rachel and Substack at Bad Redhead Media.
Thank you for doing that. That's so nice. It's free. Anyone can subscribe.
Yeah, it's a great article, but I love how you break down the different, like you got Instagram, Facebook. They're all different, but they've all pretty much phased it out. Or TikTok used to be you could do hashtags just like Instagram. TikTok, you can only do up to 5 now.
Yeah.
And they just say it's not even really a thing anymore. So
no, because they don't use it for search. So
right. So I think this was such a great post. I'm so glad you did this. So thank you for, and I just love your take on all of this. You write really great articles, but
thank you.
But yeah,
one little note I put in there about why platforms are ghosting hashtags, and I released this on October 31st. I put a lot of little things in there.
You did.
I don't know if people noticed. I put a link to an Alanis song in one of my recent posts. It just makes me happy to throw those little Easter eggs in there.
I love it. But yeah, this is just such a great article. I'm just kind of showing people that definitely go back and read through this, but you can see it's just, you cover everything. And if
it's about money. The bottom line is AI search is now gobbling up the land, and it's all about money. That's what it comes down to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That was perfect. So thank you for sharing that. But and then you got other sources and further reading. But for anybody, and your kitty cat, I love it. For anybody that does go and check this out, be sure to come in and then leave a comment on here and let her know that you saw this here and that you're jumping in to respond as well. So Rachel, thank you so much for sharing that and giving us your take. I know it's the top of the hour. I know you need to run. Did anybody else want to share their thoughts? I know you need to go now, Rachel, right?
I have about 5 more minutes.
Okay. Does anybody here have any thoughts on hashtags? I mean, it was hard for me when Elon made the announcement, but I just got over it. And now I don't use them anymore. I don't really care anymore because times change.
I think in general, people have always struggled with the whole hashtag thing to begin with, because like on, Instagram, you'd see people that literally, it's like their post was nothing but hashtags. And it's like,
Yes.
why are you doing
It was
this?
a turn off. It was a
Yeah,
turn off.
it was. And
At
so
some point, I think people were like being told put 30 hashtags on every post on
Yeah.
Instagram, and it was like, oh
It
my
was bad
God,
advice. It was
no.
bad advice people got because a lot of people just didn't know, and they just and it'd be like this. Some creator, or they didn't call them creators back then, but like some social media expert told me to put 30 hashtags, and when you look at a tweet and all that, it's like, no, don't do that. And it's like, who's giving out this bad advice? Because that's not how you do it.
Have you seen the SNL skit with Justin Timberlake and
Yes, the
hashtag? They would do, and every other word was hashtag, and the
I love that. I had so many friends sending that to me when that came out because I was just known for hashtags. It was, being so well known for Twitter and then hashtags. So yeah, that video was, I used to use, there was like a GIF on Twitter with that. I used to use a lot because it was just so funny.
That was one of the most recent conversations I had with ChatGPT because, well, actually the Copilot that is in, but that's ChatGPT, the Copilot that's in Edge, because it will create a post for me and it keeps adding the hashtags. So we got into a battle over the EM dash, and then it decided, like at the very end, it would just boom, bullet, all these different hashtags. And I said, did you not get the memo? I never laughed so hard with the way it responded to me. But I found in X this morning when I was in Grok, one of the things I do there and on ChatGPT is ask it what the latest updates are on in social media before we come into these, see if is anything I didn't miss or I missed and so forth. And then would you like me to create a post for you? They do that. And so right away, it went right out and put the hashtags on there again. And that was in Grok. And that's Elon's product.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. And this whole Grok is going to take over the algorithm on X now. Isn't that right? Something like that?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I'm not too excited about that.
The other thing I put in, speaking of Grok, is I put in, I was finally able to downgrade to just professional because they were hitting me for $40 a month on the plus. And so they made me an offer to buy it by the year, which was cheaper on the professional than buy it by the month. And so I opted for that. And it told me that it wasn't going to start until next month because I just paid my monthly fee for the professional plus, and instead it downgraded me immediately and still charged me the full amount. And so I talked to it about it.
We had a chat. You had a chat. You had a chat with chat.
No, but no, this is not with chat. This is with Grok. It's their platform. That's his platform. And I don't want to share all of it, but I just said, his mother's my age. This isn't right.
You're like pointing your face. His mother's my age.
And it was hilarious what came back to me. But the thing is, I finally ended with, I've been thinking about my presence on X. I'm not getting, I said, you stop the hashtags. You're offering me hashtags. You said you can't do that. And the algorithm just isn't working. I'm not seeing anybody's posts. And so it gave me a big education about, well, did you select this? Did you select that? And then it said, if all of that fails, maybe it is time to reevaluate your
Oh, I love that. This is always a fun hour, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, doing this casual chat each Thursday. I always enjoy it. I'm still trying to decide in school what subscription tiers I want to set up. I definitely want to have like a Madeline's Inner Circle and have, I feel like the things I show y'all here is kind of like, here's like something cool, but then we can have in school through one of the subscriptions, like, now let's dive into this. And like, especially that cool prompt, I'm digging that cool prompt I showed y'all that lady did. And it's like, I really want to work on that a bit. And I would love to hear how others, I just feel like that'd be such a great mastermind type of conversation. So
that is true. Yeah.
That's my thought. Well, y'all have a great rest of your day. And yeah, Angel is saying that, thinking that the hashtags were a spinoff from the blogosphere. Yeah, because that was kind of a thing then too. But it seems like Twitter is what really elevated hashtags for sure.
It was Justin Timberland and Davison. Hashtag.
Justin
Every other
Timberlake.
word hashtag.
Hashtag. That was funny. I'll have to go find that. See, that'd be something we'd go play when we one of these days do our special live stream. Back to the 80s, baby live stream.
Let's do it in school.
Talked about it. Yeah, we can. We need to set that up because
That way we can play whatever music we want.
we totally can. That's it. We're not going to live stream it. It'll just be live in school. Exactly. You can play all the
Yeah.
music we want. We don't get in trouble. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to pick an evening that y'all want to do this, but you got to commit to doing it. Like,
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
do it. And yeah, we'll play some cool 80s music. And like Bez always says, we got to have show and tell.
That's right. Hey, look.
Hi, Rachel. Let's see what you got. Oh, an old tape recorder.
Cassette.
Cassette
Yeah.
recorder. I loved
Yeah.
mine when I was a kid. Those were fun.
As with external microphone and built-in speaker and a headphone jack.
Ooh, you fancy.
Fancy.
Wow. That brings me back. Well, y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll be back here next Thursday to do it again. Join us in school where we continue these discussions. Just go to skool.com/Madeline Sklar to come hang out with us over there. It's free to join. So come just take a moment, go to skool.com/Madeline Sklar, and then we'll be back here next week to hang out all over again. So y'all have a great rest of your day.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank y'all for joining me on